The sun bathed the golden plains of Eldoria in a warm glow. As laughter echoed through the royal gardens, King Jabari and Queen Amani walked hand in hand, their love as strong as the mighty rivers that flowed through the land. The king, a diplomatic ruler with a heart for his people, had just returned from a victorious battle against the warlords threatening their borders. His enemies had learned the hard way that while he was a man of peace, he was ruthless when provoked. "You fought with the strength of a lion, my king," Amani teased as they settled beneath the great baobab tree. "But tell me, were you thinking of me as you swung your sword?" Jabari chuckled, pulling her closer. "Every strike was for you, my love, and for our people." The couple teased each other as they both laughed happily under the tree. They talked for a while, basing most of their conversations on their marriage, their wealth, and the future of their kingdom. They were very determined to be forces to reckon with and show the citizens what true leadership was all about. That evening, a grand celebration filled the halls of the palace. The air was thick with the scent of roasted meats and sweet fruits. Drums pounded in a steady rhythm, and dancers twirled in a vibrant attire. The kingdom rejoiced, but beneath the revelry, fate had begun weaving a different path. As Jabari raised a goblet to toast his people, he staggered. He swayed slightly before steadying himself, brushing off Amani's concerned gaze. Yet, as days passed, the ailment grew worse. The once indomitable king became frail. His voice losing the power that had once commanded enemies. Amani never left his side. She consulted the finest healers, prayed at sacred shrines, and held his hand through the sleepless nights. But no remedy could undo what had begun. One fateful dawn, as the first light touched the kingdom, Jabari breathed his last. Amani clutched his lifeless hand, tears streaming down her face. The love of her life, her partner in ruling their people, was gone. But there was no time to grieve. Even before the funeral pyres burned, whispers spread through the court. A queen ruling alone? Impossible. The council was restless, power-hungry lords circling like vultures. Amani knew they would never accept her as their leader. Yet, she would not surrender. She was no mere widow to be cast aside. She was now Queen Amani of Eldoria Kingdom, and she would fight for her throne, for her people, and for the legacy of the man she loved. What she did not know yet was that her battle had only begun. Enemies locked within the walls of her own palace. They would not only challenge her rule, but seek to destroy her completely. But Amani was more than they expected. She would endure. She would rise. She would become a legend. The throne room of Eldoria, once a place of grandeur and security, had become a battlefield of whispers and deception. Amani sat upon the high-backed ivory seat, her golden robes flowing around her. But she was no fool. She knew this was not a seat of power, but a throne of thorns. Before her, the noble lords and council members stood in different rows, their faces carefully guarded. Some were allies, most were threats. The weight of their expectations bore down on her. "Your Majesty," Lord Baraka began, stepping forward with a deep bow. He was a man of influence, respected but calculating. "We honor the memory of our great king Jabari, but the question remains, who will rule in his stead?" Amani's fingers tightened around the carved lion heads on the armrest. "I will rule. My husband entrusted this kingdom to me." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Some, like General Safiri, remained silent, observing. Others, like Lord Nshindi, smirked, already prepared for a challenge. "A queen alone cannot lead in times of war," Nshindi said smoothly, his voice oozing with false concern. "Eldoria needs a strong king. Eldoria Kingdom needs a strong leader," Amani countered. "And I am prepared to be that leader." The tension in the room thickened. She could feel the invisible noose tightening around her. They would not accept her so easily, not without a fight. As the court session ended, Amani retreated to her private chambers, where her trusted maidservant, Nia, awaited her. "They will not stop, Your Majesty," Nia whispered. "They are already plotting." Amani exhaled. "Then we must stay ahead of them. I will not let them take what is mine." But as she spoke, she could not shake the feeling that the walls of her own palace were closing in. She had fought battles before, but this was a war of shadows, where a dagger could be hidden behind a smile, and she would have to be smarter than all of them to survive. Night had fallen over Eldoria, but sleep did not come from Amani. She paced the length of her chamber, her mind burdened by the weight of unseen threats. The flickering torches cast long shadows against the stone walls, and the silence felt more threatening than comforting. A knock at the door made her halt. Nia slipped inside, her expression tense. "Your Majesty, I overheard something troubling. Lord Imshindi met with several council members in secret tonight. They are discussing succession." Amani stiffened. "Succession? But I am the leader." "They do not see it that way," Nia whispered. "They are searching for a nobleman to take your place." Rage flared in Amani's chest, but she forced herself to remain calm. "Let them try," she said, her voice quiet but firm. "I will not yield my throne." But even as she spoke, a creeping dread settled in her bones. They would not merely seek to replace her, they would seek to eliminate her. And the first attempt might come sooner than she expected. The attack came in the dead of the night. Amani awoke to the faint creak of her chamber door. Instinct took over. She reached for the dagger hidden beneath her pillow, her breath steady despite the hammering of her heart. A shadow moved, then another. Silent figures slipped into her room, their footsteps muffled by the thick woven rugs. Assassins. With a swift motion, Amani rolled off the bed, narrowly dodging a blade aimed for her throat. The candlelight caught the gleam of steel as the intruders lunged again. Nia screamed from the adjoining chamber, her voice cut short. Amani did not hesitate. She lashed out, her weapon slicing across an attacker's arm. A grunt of pain filled the room, but the others pressed forward. Footsteps thundered down the hall. The guards were coming, but would they be allies or traitors? Amani had only moments to decide: stand and fight or flee into darkness. She thought for a minute and dragged Nia, and they both began to run. They ran into the forest as fast as they could, while the guards ran after them. Soon after Amani and Nia disappeared into the dark bush path, the guards suddenly stopped. "They have disappeared. We are finished," one of the guards screamed. "We can capture an animal, extract the heart, and convince the council members we have eliminated Amani." Another guard said, "Why don't we wait in this forest till sunrise and hide in the bush? I believe they will surely try to leave the forest." Another bodyguard added. The other two guards argued till they all gave up and decided to tell the council the truth. It was sunrise. Amani and Nia had slept off under a small shed in the forest. Amani saw a cane basket and decided to go and get some palm fruits and any other fresh ripe fruits she could find in the forest. Shortly after, she came back with a basket of fruits and met Nia awake at the hut. They both ate the fruits to their satisfaction until Amani made a suggestion. "We will go back to the palace, Nia. I will put my foot down and crush them all, once and for all." Nia quickly replied, "I'm sorry, my queen, but you can't go. They are after your life. Let's find another way to take them down." Amani understood her fear, but she was relentless and stubborn. She knew they all had a hand in her husband's passing, and she desperately wanted to make them pay. "Let us go," Amani said assertively. "Go where?" Nia asked, while shivering with fear. "To the palace." Amani said, this time, with determination. Nia suddenly became bold and blurted out, a no. Amani said yes. Nia said no. They went on, and Amani finally concluded, I know you are my trusted maiden, but over the years, you have been more of a sister to me. If you won't join me to fight these people, I will do it alone. She started going immediately, while Nia stood there, mortified, and watched her leave. Amani had made her way out of the forest and started walking along a bush path when two men suddenly captured her, covered her mouth, and took her straight to the palace. Nia trailed her, but stopped soon after the ugly incident occurred. She decided to seek refuge in another village, but she loved the queen and could not leave her to die in captivity, even though she was overwhelmed by the recent events. She knew she had to do something as soon as possible.